Hey tankers, welcome back to channel. Today, it's something different, something special. It's our tank compare, the Centurion Tier 8 King of the Hill. So, a couple of weeks ago, maybe a little longer, my brother and I started talking and I brought it up to him that, I wonder which of these tanks is the best. And there's 4 of them at Tier 8, counting the Centurion 1, which is a tech tree, the Centurion 5-1, which is a collector, the Defender Mk1, which is premium, and then the STRV 81, which I think is also a collector. And not counting Tier 9, the Centurion 7-1, that's a different tier. So what I've done is we've gone through and we've compared all these tanks. Here we're going to look at the Centurion Mk1 armor profile. So we can see that right here frontally, 100% pen. Now the tank shooting at this is the, I think I'm using the Defender Mk1. So you're seeing there that easily the Defender gun is penning everything here. Defender's got 237 millimeters of pen, and easily it's penning everything here. Here's from behind, up into behind of the turret, 100% pen everywhere. It's no issues going through. It's just penning everything. So here I'm showing you, it looks like it's the gun depression. So, with the gun, multiple, massive, 10 degrees of gun depression. So here we see a slight with the STRV1, with the slight issue with the turret, but we're seeing 0% on STRV1. Can you go through the turret frontally, and that's different. So the Cent 1 already we're seeing has a worse turret than the STRV 81, which is the European Polish variant. The Centurion, so interesting enough, I mean, as you're looking here, so it's 100% pen still, lower plate, from frontally, lower 100%. Still, that turret is strong in the STRV. Here we go into the Centurion 5-1. Again, straight up pen right through the upper plate, straight pen right through the bottom plate, and now we look at the 5-1 turret, 0% pen, not getting through it. So, and I believe that the Cent 5-1 has the strongest turret of the 4 tanks. So what we did is Mike, myself, and Climber, we all own these tanks, except Climber doesn't own the STRV 81. So we each played 10 games in each of these tanks and measuring wins and losses, damage, penetrations from hits, kills, and damage blocked. Here's the Defender. Again, we're seeing pretty much the same profile. Every one of these tanks has a better turret than the Cent 1. But we compared all of our stats. I added them all up. I did percentages. I did averages. I went through everything. And I've rated these tanks from the stats and also taking into account the 3 of us, our feelings for each one of these tanks and which ones we like driving, which ones we didn't, and where we ranked those 1 through 4. And this is our top 4 for these tanks. These are all basically different variants of the same tank. So here we are, number 4. Surprise, surprise. The Mk1 Defender. This comes in at last place. Now, technically, points across the board, it actually ties for 4th with another tank. But as far as feel, as what we felt, all of us felt that the Mk1 was a lower ranking lowest ranking of the the 4. I had a slightly different opinion. I ranked this higher than, excuse me, higher than what's placed at number 3. I might even be before this contest, this little challenge that we did. I might have put it at number 2 or even 1. After the challenge, learning a lot about these tanks and playing them as we go, I would have put it at number 3 spot. But here it ends up with number 4 because the tiebreaker, of course, being how each of us felt about the tank, and I was outvoted here. But so this game is Coach Mike. He's in he's in the STRV 1. He's on Normandy, or not? Sorry, STRV, the Defender Mk1 on Normandy, and you can see he is just tearing it apart. Excuse me. He's able to reload his gun, get 4 shells in there, and put 4 shells on target. Here he gets a yo that is just not paying attention to him. Excuse me, sorry. But Mike's doing a heck of a job here. He is going to control this game. But moving back into the history of the Centurion 1. So whether you know this or not, the Centurion is remarkably and arguably the most successful tank line in the history of tanks in the world. Not in the game, in the world. The Centurion line, the Centurion 1, is actually a World War II tank. It was designed in World War II to match up against the Tiger 1 and the Tiger 2, and unfortunately for the British, the Centurion never made it into combat. But following the World War II and entering the Cold War, the Centurion 1 and all of its different variants, I think it was all the way to Mark 9 or 10, this tank was sold all over the world. It was made in different variants and made in different added different guns, and that's where like the STRV comes from. There was versions all over the world. The Israelis used the tank for a while. There was a lot of different variants of this tank around the world, and that's arguably why it is the best tank in the world. This saw action in Korea. It saw action, I believe, in Vietnam. It's seen action everywhere, and there was variants of this tank still being used even up to the Gulf War. Not for much of anything, but even all the way to the first Gulf War, I believe. So anyways, so that's why there's so many variants of this tank. We see Coach Mike end up with a really nice game here. He pulls off 4,004 damage with 2 kills, ace mastery and high caliber in this tank. And yes, that finishes number 4. This tank is not this grading has nothing to do with how an individual game, like Mike ace that tank, great, good for him. Doesn't have nothing to do with the ranking of the tank. Here, this is actually me. I am playing this Centurion Mk1. I had a second class. This is a second class game. I'm spoiling it for you, sorry, but this is the tide for number 3 across the stats with the point system that I use. This ends up as number 3, tied for the 3rd place. We give it number 3 over the Mk1 again because of how we felt. Like I said, I ranked this lower than the Defender, but I was outvoted on that by Mike and Climber, and this is where it ends up. So it's still a very competible tank, compatible, whatever word I'm looking for. It's very competitive. There you go. How about that? It's very competitive. So for a tech tree tank that has, for a long time, was like, you wanted to get past this tank as fast as you could to get into the 7-1. It was just kind of a dead-end tank, but Wargaming finally gave it some love a little while ago, and it's a lot better. I don't think that it's as good as it should be, but I think it still needs a little more love. But it is still a really solid tank. It's Of the 4 tanks in at tier 8 that kind of hold the Centurion name, it actually has the worst turret of the 4. Armor-wise, it's not great. One of the things that I like about these Centurion tanks, and my brother shares this opinion, is the fact that it's not overly fast. Meaning, this isn't like an LTTB light tank tier 7 or the French CBC, which is a tier 8 light tank or medium tank, that is just so fast that you have to be thinking 1,000 miles per hour while you're playing the tank to make it do anything and do any good with it. This tank is quick enough to get you where you need to go, reliable enough to do what you need it to do, and strong enough to get it done. When you hit the adrenaline, it does a great job of putting shells in and getting that reload really quick. It's got a great gun on it. It's one of those tanks that just, the gun sings. I love tanks with a good gun. Here you're going to see me come up. I'm going to switch to Hesh. Yes, the tier 8 has Hesh. This is the only one of the 4 tanks that actually has Hesh, unfortunately, because it's like the Cent 5-in-1 with Hesh would be a lot of fun. But anyways, so you see I put a 220 shot in there with the Hesh. I put another one in 254. Back up. I get the kill there, my second kill of the game. And that there's 2 tanks left in the game, but so it's a fun tank. It's a fun drive. I'm going to admit that I actually had to buy it back to do this video and play it, and I played it probably a dozen games getting used to it again and setting it up before I did the event, did this test between the 4 tanks, because I just hadn't played. I sold it back in the day when I got past it, and it's like, I don't need it anymore. I'm not going to play it anymore, and I'm still not going to play it anymore, but I don't need to sell it, so I own it, and it'll be in my garage until I want to do something else with it. Anyways, finish off that game there. We finished off that game there with 2,043 damage, 2 kills, second class, and 35,000 credits. Not bad. This tank was 3rd place. That'll bring us into our 2nd place. I'll read you all the stats here that I tracked across it. But first off, coming in number 2 is a Centurion 5-in-1. So that's going to mean you know who is number 1. That's going to be a surprise to Mike and Climber. But anyways, so let's read you the stats. So win percentage, the Cent 1 ended up with the Cent 5-in-1 ended up in 1st place with a 73% win rate across the 3 of us playing it. And 2nd place for win rate was going to be the STRV with a 65% win rate. And then in 3rd place was actually the Cent 1 with a 63% win rate, and the Defender Mk1 with a 56% win rate comes in 4th. At average damage, so average damage, number 1 was actually the Defender Mk1 with his 1,663 damage per game. Number 2 was the STRV 81 with 1,431 damage. Number 3 was the Cent 5 with 1,332 damage, and coming up in 4th place is the Cent 1 with 1,290 average damage. So those are 2 categories. The next one is average pen. So the average pen for the was number 1 was the STRV 81 with a 90.75% average pen. Number 2 was the Defender Mk1 with a 90.03% average pen. Then followed up by the Cent 1 with an 89.8% average pen, and last place for that category, for the average pen category, was the Cent 5-in-1 with an 87% pen rate. For kills, we had a tie for the kills with a .96
That one didn't go through.
was the Cent 5-1 and the Cent 1 for average kills,
Couldn't penetrate their
followed
armor.
up by the STRV 81 at a .95 and the Defender Mark 1 with a .93. So all of those real close to averaging 1 kill a game. But, you know, again, it is what it is. Our final category was our average block damage. Average block damage, number one tank was the Cent 5-1. The Cent 5-1 taking 3 categories at first, so it's really close to becoming the first place tank. But it ends up with a average block damage of 564 damage per game. The second place tank was the STRV 81 with 469.45 damage. Then came in the Cent 1 with 385.75 average block damage and 305 average block damage for the Defender Mark 1. The STRV 1 ends up taking across the categories second place, third place, second place. That's with the points values I gave things. That's why it ends up being the number one tank, because it just across the board it averaged the best. Now all 4 of us picked the Cent 5-1 as our favorite tank to drive. The followed closely behind by the STRV 81, which Climber doesn't vote in that because he doesn't own it. His second choice was the Cent 1, which bumps the Cent 1 up to third place, like I said, instead of being last place. But that's how it goes. So Climber finishes with 3,660 damage with another ace in this category. 158,000 made in game. And that's a Cent 5-1. Again, that was our player's favorite choice. But coming in number 1 with across the board, just doing the best average across the board on the categories that we tracked, is the STRV 81, the Polish variant. Here is COACHMIKE again in a game. He had the best game of the 4 of us in this. Of the 3 of us, and like I said, Climber doesn't own this tank. I'm going to be betting that after this video that probably Climber will be looking to pick it up at some point, because this is a legit tank. I know that the consensus a lot of people had was that this is just another copy of the Cent 1, but it really isn't. It competes very well with the Centurion 5-1 across the board. I think the Centurion has a stronger turret, but there's just some little factors here that this tank does a little better, and across the board it's so close. It comes down to feel. I would be willing to bet that if like Climber owns the Cent 5-1, he's not going to be hurting by not getting this, because it's virtually the same tank, and they're so close in everything, in all the abilities and everything else. These are just really good tanks. They feature a strong, super fast reloading gun with, you know, some of the best pen at tier 8 for mediums, and really any tank, almost any tank at tier 8, except for like maybe TDs. The Centurion line has amazing pen. All the tanks with AP have a 226 pen, except the Defender, like I said, had a 237 pen. The Hesh tanks with the Hesh, the Cent 1 with the Hesh has a lot lower pen, but does a little better damage. The others all share APCR, and it gives it like a 265, 270 pen, something like that. But the tanks are very, very evenly matched as far as all that. Again, I don't know. I mean, one of these tanks is not drastically better than the other, but the tank I will probably be playing more of the 4 will be the STRV 81. I'm going to give this another chance and start playing it some more. I think it works very well with this new matchmaker, which is everybody hates. I'm having better luck in mediums, and I'm also going to be playing the Cent 5-1 more, because the truth is these are two tanks that I had really kind of parked and not played. But since doing these videos, I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I played my 10 games in each of the Defender Mk1 and the Centurion 5-1 last night, so 10 in each. And I'm the one that screwed up the average for win rate on that, because I played 80% in both of those last night. I didn't do 80% in these other two tanks, the STRV or the Cent 1. I just don't. I'm not a fan of the Cent 1, but I guarantee you, I'll be putting more games in with these other tanks. You know, namely the Cent 5-1 and the STRV 81. I'll be putting more games in because I really had a good time doing this. I feel it's working good with this matchmaker. And guys, that's our video. That's everything why we see the STRV1 finishes number 1 in the amongst these 4 tanks at tier 8. Mike finishes with 2,600 damage, 145,000 credits made in game, and a nice ace. And that's it, guys. I hope you enjoy this. Hey, if you have any feedback, please let me know. If there's any tanks you'd like to see compared that we can work on, we might own them. Give us a shot. Let us know in the comments. Let us know what you think. I'm happy to give a shot to other tanks. Hey, guys, as always, thanks for watching. Really appreciate it. Until tomorrow when we put up our Sunday best, good luck and good hunting. Bye.